Good day. So this is a Python class on machine learning organized by OCP Analytics. So the first step is to install the softwares we need. So first, download Python software. So you go to the website and download the Python software. Then after that, you select the IDE you want to use. So we have different Python IDE. So by IDE, I mean integrated information development environment. So I use Eclipse and I use Jupyter Notebook. So this is Eclipse. So this is the Eclipse. They also have Jupyter Notebook. I access my Jupyter Notebook from Anaconda. So if you want to download Anaconda, you go to Anaconda website. So you go to Anaconda and download Anaconda. So I have Anaconda already, and that's what we are going to use. So first step, you open your Anaconda and you launch Jupyter Notebook. So this is my Jupyter Notebook. Launch. So it opens my Jupyter Notebook. Then if you want to start a new file, you go to New Python. So it opens a new file for you. If you have an existing file, you can try to locate the file. So I have a file that I want to use to explain the basics of Python. So next step is to locate where the file is. So locate where the file is. But if you want to start a new file, just go to, you want to start a new file, just go to new Python. It opens a new file for you. So that's how Python works. So I have a new file. I also have existing files. Let me use this file to explain some basics. So Python, if you are using Jupyter Notebook, it has different interface. It has the code interface, like you can see here. So what you do here is write code. So I can do 2 + 3 and run. So you click run. It gives you answer. It also have other interface. It has the Markdown. So Markdown allows you to write in text. So I can write in text now. I am teaching Python. So this is in text. If I want to write code, 6 + 6 gives you. If you want to add a new cell, you use this to add new cells. You can change this at any time from code to Markdown, code to Markdown. So we are going to use just code Markdown, code to Markdown. If you want to delete this cell, you use this. Then if you want to save, you save. So when you save, it saves in your working directory, your current working directory. I will explain that later, what I mean by working directory. And I can access this file later. If you want to change the name, I can come to this and change training for Python and save. If you go to your, are you seeing this training for Python. So this is now my working directory. So anything I save comes here.
So
Enter.
yes, this thing is showing up.
What?
The the stuff you are working on is very tiny.
It's very tiny.
Yes, you can't even see it.
Wow. Where will I do?
Like, but the previous one before you ended, it was very, very visible and very bold. Unlike this one, is very, very tiny.
Okay, so let me see if I can change my display again. Is it okay now?
Yes, very much okay.
Okay. Thank you. So whenever you have any question, just let me know. So like I explained, you can start a new file, what I've explained so far, this way, and you can change the name and save it. So whenever you save, it saves here. It saves here in your working directory. You can change your working directory to anything. So that we are using Markdown and code. So now I have this file I will be using to teach. So the first place is Markdown. I see this. So Markdown, you write text. You write text. Then this is also another cell for Markdown. You write text. Then this is for code. So you can print anything. Let me add new cell there. So I can write, if I want to print in Python, so I want to see my result, I can say print, help me, and run. This is the results. So this is the code I enter. Then Jupyter Notebook will interpret it and give me my results. So whenever you want to write text, you put it in quotation mark whenever you want to write text. But if you are writing numbers, so you don't need to do print 6. So you don't need to do this. If you do this, Python sees it as a character. Python doesn't see it as a number. So whenever you are writing, if I want to write number, I can do print 7. Please mute yourself if you are not talking. Mute yourself if you are not talking. So print 7. This is a number. This text. So whenever you're writing text, put it in quotation marks. So this is what I mean in quote. But for numbers, you leave it this way. We'll be making use of this print anytime I want to see results. So now this cell, if I want to see 3 different results, I can do print 7, print 6, print y here. So we'll be using this a lot. So it brings out all the prints. The first one, the second, and the third. So you can also combine numbers and text when you want to print. So print the 6. Why are you here? So I see you can combine text and numbers when you want to print your results. I can do a calculation. Let's say I create a variable x and I say x is 5 plus 7. 5 plus 7. And I want to print my results. I can do print when you like addition of 5 and 7 is x. Are you seeing this? So we'll be using this a lot. The print function, we'll be using it a lot. We have other ways we can do this. We can do this also like this. So we'll come back to this. Let me go back to my file that I will be using for this training. So I just explained the first part, hello world. Now this, you are creating a variable I, and you are saying I equal to 4. So you can create variable. Then whenever you want to know the type of, or the data class, or the data type of any variable you created, you can use the function type. So type tells you if your data type is an integer, if it is a character, if it is float. So float means it contains decimal points. Integer means whole numbers. So if you create 4, you create a variable and name, write it as 4, the type will be integers. If you want it to accept decimals, you make it to be float. So 4.1. So if I change this to 4 points, I think it will change to float. So let's check. So it changes to float. So whenever it has decimals, it changes to float. Integer. Okay, so we learned complex number in school. So if you add complex number, it tells you the type is complex number. So we have Boolean, so we call them logical variable, like true, false. We'll be using them a lot. True, false. So true, false, the type belongs to bool, B-O-O-L. That's the logical variable. We're making use of this. We've talked about print. Whenever you write any text, remember I said should be under the quotation mark. So you have to quote it. This falls under string. Whenever you're writing in text, don't forget that. And whenever you want to see your results, you print. So you print. Let me show you something. Are you seeing that type is no longer showing? This is no longer coming out in my results. It's because of print is missing. If I want both of them to show, I can include print. Then both shows. If it is the last code in your, like the last line in your cell, it will still show without print. The last line in your cell, it will still show without print. But if it is not the last line, the result is not going to show if you don't use print function. When you want to create a variable, you can use any name. There is no fix, like you can use BLA, you can use anything, Paul, Emma, anything. Frank, you can call it anything. So in this time, yeah, we didn't use print and the result is still showing. The reason is because this is the last line in this cell. So the last line in the cell will show us output without the print function. Whenever you want to make comments, you can use in your code. When writing code, you have to make it to be easy for people to understand. And if you want to write comments, you use this pound sign to make comments. So for example, if I want to write code, this is my comments. Addition of 6 and 8. And I can do 6 plus 8. Python is not going to run this. Python sees this as comments you are making. Python is going to run only this. Now, if I do 7 plus 8, it is going to show the last line, only the last line, because I didn't use print function. If I want both to show, I will do print. And both will show. This also, I think you can use this to make comment also. Another way to make comments. So if you want to make comments and use multiple lines, you can use that to make comments. if you want to get if you want Python to maybe help explain a particular function, you can either use this question mark or use the help function. So now let me explain what I mean by this. So now if I want to learn how to ask Python to look for mean of a data set, I can import NumPy as NP. Then I do. So I want to use the help function. Forget about the first line. We'll come back to that. So I'm just explaining the help function. So Python help will help you will help explain what main function is. So it tells you if you want to use the main function, these are what. So A will be your data set. So you read about A. A is your data set. If you want to, this is not compulsory to include in what you are doing. So based on this help I'm getting, I can look for mean of a data set. So let me create X as 76746. Then I can do NP dot mean X, where X now represents. So Python also gives you an example in the help function. Are you seeing the example? NP mean, where A is your data set. So if I run this, it gives me my result. So make use of the help function because you don't need to cram all the codes. So the help function is there to guide you. So whenever you forget how to write your code, you use the help function. It gives you examples on how to apply it. So that's the help function. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Anyone talking? Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the help function. So we'll be making use of the help function. So if I want to learn about other function, let's say I want to learn about NP, is it SD? Let me check. No, there's not like SD. Let me check VAR. Okay, so VAR is for variance. So if you read about this, it gives you an example also. It gives you an example. So this is how to look for variance. Okay, so we are done with the help function. So let me make a copy of this because all these new things we are writing, I don't want it to be here. Okay, if I want to duplicate, let me explain. So if you want to duplicate what you are doing and save a copy, just make a copy. So that's what I did now. Okay, now we are going to learn variable types. So the first thing we are going to learn is list. So list is the first thing we are going to learn. And if you want to create a list, so let's say I want to create names of people that attended today's class, I can do. Remember, whenever you want to write text, you put it in quotes. It can either be double quotes, single quotes. Both of them will work. So I can write Ella, I can write Messi, I can write Daniel. So this is what we call a list. Whenever you want to create a list, you use the block bracket to create a list. Block bracket. And one thing about list is that you can still change. I can still make changes to what I have here. I can make changes to this. But I think if you are using, is it what they call it? Is it tuple? Or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well. You can't really change it. But this now you can change it. You can change
You
it.
mean the order of the way they are written?
Not really. The order is part of it. You can make changes, any change you want to make within it. So this like so any change you want to make, you can make in there. I will explain that further. So let's say if I want to see what I've done so far, I can say print names. And if you want to see the type where it falls under, you can type. So it falls under list. Now I can let's see something. Let me see something. So this is what I mean that I can change it. I see that I just added Frank. So if you want to add, you can make changes to this. You can play around it later when you are using list. And since I've been using Python, I make use of lists. I think more of list. We have dictionary, but I think I make use of list a lot. If you want to add a new file, we use this function append. So
Append.
this is the name of this. This is not a fixed stuff. It depends on what you use to name your variable. So because I use names, you do names dot append. So append means I'm adding more to it. So append. If you want to learn about the, let me see if we can use help to learn about the append function. Okay, doesn't work. Is it? Okay. Maybe let me see something. Okay, let's go back. We will use the append function to add a new variable. So we are done with list. So if you check this particular example, they added, like I used both numbers. This is called integer. This is called float. Then this is called the text string. This is called complex number. So it can take different data types. Are you seeing that? It can take different data types. If I want to delete this cell, you use this. Now this is called dictionary. So dictionary is made up of what we call key and value. Key and value. So let me come back to list. If I want to select, let's say I want to select just Messi, or this my new data, I want to select just Daniel. I can do names. I want to select number 2. So Daniel. Python starts counting from 0. So Python is calling Ella. The index number is 0. Messi is 1. Daniel is 2. And Frank is 3. So if I want to select Frank, I will use name, the block bracket 3. Remember, Python, if you are using Arrow Studio, Arrow starts counting from 1, but Python starts counting from 0. So if you use name 0, it gives you Ella. If you want to count from the back, if you want to count from this back, so I can use -1, it gives me Frank. I think if I use -2, it's supposed to give me Daniel. So if you are counting from the back, we are going to make use of all this later. So whenever you see me use block bracket, you know that I'm trying to get a subset of my data. So let's say I pick 1, 2. Please mute yourself if you are not talking. No. 1. Mute yourself if you are not talking. So the next thing we are going to learn is dictionary. So for dictionary, we have key, we have value. We have key, we have value. Now let me create a dictionary. Let's say I want to create, I have class, my class, and we have names of people. Names. I have Frank. Then I want to create another one, score. Frank scored 30. Then state Frank lives at Oyo State. So let me use another name. Class ST. Because class is a function, that's why I change it. Class means something else in Python. So if I want to see my results, I do class ST. So this gives me a dictionary. The name here is called the key. Why this is called value. This is called key. This is the value. This is called key. This is value. So I created I created a dictionary that has 3 different keys and 3 different values. If you want to select a subset of your dictionary, you do class ST. I want to select, so let me see names. So it gives me the name is Frank. So this is the key, this is the value. If you use score, so this is not what we are supposed to learn. It's just like doing a brief introduction to Python before we go over to machine learning. So score is 13. So if you watch your class in dictionary, I have just like creating a table, even though this is not a table, but see it like you are creating a table and you have different columns. So like this is the first column, name, we have Frank, we have score, we have a state. So just see it that way. Any question? Is there any question? Hope you can hear me. You can still hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So far we've learned list, we've learned dictionary. And we've also learned how to select a subset. So now what we have here, we'll skip this for now. So the next one is a tuple. The difference between this and list is the bracket. Here we use a curve or bracket, like the normal bracket we know. But for list, we use block bracket. So we use parentheses. Okay, another function we'll be making use of in this training is range. So when you see range, I'm just talking about 0 to 5, 0 to 4. Let me do something. So when you see me write X is range 0, 9. So this range 0 to 9. It gives me values from 0 to 8. Let me do something. I for I in X. So this is what it means. It's giving me values from 0 to 8. I will explain what I wrote here later. That's under for loop. We'll come back to that. So, but just know whenever you see range, we'll be using this a lot when we want to use for loop, if loop, and the rest. So whenever you see range, know that it doesn't include the last number. It doesn't include the last number. So if I want 0 to 20, if I want 0 to 20, I will change this to what? 21. I won't stop at 20. then it gives me 0 to 20. So range. Then if you want to see the length of your, I see this is a list. Let's say, let me call this Y and check the type, the class of the data type of Y. It should fall under list. And if you want to see Y, you then do print Y. So this is it. If you want to see if you want to know the length, print LEN, length of Y. So it means we have 21 numbers there. 21 numbers in my list. Where are we now? Let's select a subset of Y. So if I want to select a subset, I can do Y block is 7. Remember, Python starts counting from 0. So what this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the 7th number. I can do something like this. So if I want from 7 to 12, so it gives me this is 7 to 12. So this is how to select subsets.
Seven to 12. Why did they give you 7 to 11?
The 7 to 12, like Python, like the same thing with this. So if I want to, let me change this to 30. The same thing with this. Why didn't this give me 21? Do you understand Python now?
Okay. Okay. It's counting from 0. That's all.
Yes, and it doesn't,
So it's
the
like
last number.
if you start counting from 1 to 20, 0 is like the 21st number.
Okay, yeah, you can see that way. So let's say I want to select just 4 and 14. So how will I do that? I can do it like I'm selecting Y4. I'm selecting Y14. Let's see if this will work. Okay, so this is 4, 14. So I created a new list, and this new list contains just Y4 and Y14. Any question? So we are done with range. So the reason, what I'm trying to explain now is range. Range doesn't include the last number. So take note of that. In Python, the last number most times doesn't, it's not in your series. This is a logical operator, like yes, true, false, none, and the rest. Okay, this is non-type, yeah. So we have integer, float, complex, boolean, logical operator, string. We have list, tuple, range. We've talked about print. Okay, so now let me explain this aspect of print. Let me create my own. So if you want to add a new cell, you use plus. Let's say I'm doing solving mathematics. Then I create a variable x, and x is 4 plus 7. I create a new variable t, and t is 7 plus 9. I want to print the two results. I can do print. I can do something like this. You add addition of 4 and 7 is, I can put comma x, comma again. Then I do addition of 7 and 9 is comma t. Why am I using this comma? I'm trying, because this is different from this. This is under float. I've explained float. Sorry, this is under string. Why this is integer? So I have to separate it and tell them that this 4 should be seen as string. why this should be seen as a variable name that I want you to add 4 and 7. This also is a string. This is a variable. Use the result from here. So if I run this, it will give me the addition of 4 and 7 is 11. So maybe if I want and the addition of 4, so this, if I want comma, so I can put comma here. So something like this. Another way of writing this, I can do print I do put addition of 4 and 7 is where I want number, I use percent x dot and the addition of 7 and 9 is I use another this percent x dot. Then I do percent and explain what the x dot mean. So the x dot mean x and t. Another way to write this, print, I can do, let me just copy this to save time. Instead of using x dots, I can just put this curly brackets and also put curly brackets here. Put curly brackets here. Then I put dot format and tell Python what to fill into this curly bracket. So fill in x, t. So whenever you see curly brackets, fill x, fill t. So they will still give me the same thing. If I put another curly bracket here, Python will see this as the first curly bracket. So the first value here belongs to this. The second curly bracket is for this. Then I have to put another variable here for the third curly bracket. So I can put x. So it fills x here, t here, and x here. So what's the value of x? It comes back to this and get it. Value of t, it comes back to this and get it. I'm supposed to have a meeting by 2. So this meeting is supposed to last for 1 hour. Then I go for my meeting. So let's see. Then if you want to know your working directory, what I said before, working directory, where you are currently working on, like where this file is located, I'll explain what to mean by import, but for now, ignore it. Or let me explain what I mean. So in Python, we have different packages. We have different packages and you have to install. Some packages come with Python, some you have to install. So if you want to work with a package and it's not in your system, you can use pip install. So now, example, if I want to install what we call numpy, I can do pip install this and install. So I have it. So it's telling me already satisfied. But if you don't have it, you have to install. So this is a package we are going to use in this. If you, example, if you want to calculate, when I calculated for mean, when I solved for mean, I use this. So this is a package. And this package contains a lot of formula or a lot of codes. So you don't need to write the code yourself. People have written the codes and they saved it with a name. All you have to do is to go to their package and look for different the modules, different codes in their package and make use of it. So you have to install. Then after installing it, whenever you want to make use of it, you use the word import. So now we are importing a package called OX. And we are using this OX to know where we are currently working on. Where is this file saved? So we use this is get the current working directory. So get the current working directory. So when you click this, it tells me that your file is the location of your file. If you want to change the working directory, you use this, change working directory. So now this is it. You use this OS means that's the function, your package you imported. So that's it. Because this is a module in this your function. So this is, you can only see chdir change directory in OX, the function. So without this OX, you can't get this. You can't make use of change directory. So when you download a package, it has different codes that you can use, different modules that you can use. If I want to change my work, if I want to change it to desktop, I can change it to desktop and change or delete all this and put desktop. So that's it. So whenever you want to change your working directory, where you want your files to be saved, you can do that and change it. So we use os.change directory. Then we use ox.get working directory to know the, after you change it, if you want to confirm what is your current working directory, you use this. So get working directory, change working directory. So just a minute, I have a meeting by 4. Let me take a, let me send him a message. Let me take like 30 minutes for him. Okay, I want to explain the if function, for function, and else if function. Then we can stop there for today. Hope I'm recording this. Okay. If function, for function, and so before I continue, any question? And can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now let's learn the if function. I think we're almost done with the basic part that I plan to teach. So let's learn the if function and the for function. So I wrote, I did something like this, x range 0 to 20. 0 to 20. Then I did something like this. For I in. So in is a logical operator, like we have true, false, in. And so in also is a logical operator in X. So it gives me this. So now what I'm using here is the for loop or for function. So now we're going to start with, we have different ways of writing this. I can also write this in a different way. I can write for I in X, print I. What's the difference between this and this? In this, I want my result to be in a list. In this, I just want to see my result. It's not in a list form. So that's the difference. So whenever you want your result to be in list, this. Now, let me explain what we mean by for loop. If you know R, you know what I mean by for loop or for function. If you want to iterate over different values, let's say I have data sets that contain scores of students in my class. Let's say I'm a teacher, and the first student got 23, 25, 26, 27, and I want to work on each of these scores. So I will use the for loop function. Or let's say I want to grade. Let me use another example. Let's say I want to grade this to either A, B, or C. A, B, or C. And let's say this is 93. This 75. This 55, and this 29. So I want to grade this either A, B, or C. So I can use the if loop. So if I in, so range length of scores. Oh. So LEN means the length of this. Let me show you what I mean. So if I use the £, Python sees it as a comment. So length of score, let me delete this. So length of this is 4. So what I'm doing now is range 4. Are you following? Range 4. And range 4 means 0, 1, 2, 3. Remember, Python starts counting from 0. So I can either write it like this, or I write it myself, 0 to 4, or range 4. Any of them. So I can leave it as length score. Then you put your colon and click enter. So if I in this, I want to create a new variable and call it grade. So this is where I will save my results. So if my score I, let me go click this. This is what I mean by score I. So when score is 0, the answer is what? 90. So I means, let's go back to this. What's range this? So range 0 to 4 means 0, 1, 2, 3. So it means I can take value of 0, I can take value of 1, 2, 3. So when I is 0, scores of 0 is 93. When I is 1, scores of 1 is 75. When I is 2, scores of 2 is 56. When I is 3, scores of 3 is 29. So that's what this is saying. So I is iterating over scores. So when scores is 0, 1, 2, 3. So if the score is less than 70, so what am I doing? So this is, sorry, for I in this, if scores is less than 70, what will happen? Print failed. Whenever you are writing text, put it in quotation mark, failed. Let me check this. Then what if I is greater than 70? What will you do? Else, print pass. So what it does is the first value, it will pass it through this function. So this for loop is going iterating over this. So for I in this, when I is 93, so it is an if function, a conditional function. Is that score is 93 less than 70? If it is less than 70, print fail. Else, print pass. So that's what it did here. I can add more condition to this. Let me use this 60. Then I can use else if score is less than 80. Print you did well. Else, print pass. So this is what it did. So if the score is less than 60, to print fail. Else, if the score is between 60 to 79.9, print you did well. So this will fall under the second group, you did well. But if you score greater than 80, it falls under else. Print pass, which is this. So I've combined four function, if function, elif, else if. So that's what I did here. If you want to learn more about this, let me check something if this will work. Let me see. I've not been using this help function. Let's see if it will work. Okay, I think okay, let's leave this first. So, but this is the for function, this is the if function, this is elif function. So you are trying to iterate over your data sets and trying to make a new or trying to get results from it. You can use this to do a lot of things. So we're going to use this as we learn the Python regression models. So we're going to learn linear model, we're going to learn Gaussian process regression, artificial neural network, and random forest. Let me create another example. Great. So Steve scores. So I have 98, 23, 56, 78, 45, 73. So if I want to add 5 to everything, there are different ways I can do it. I can decide to do it this way. I plus 5 for I in scores. Let me see if this will work. So what this is doing is adding 5 to all this. So I created a list, and I'm telling the list, do a for loop, for function. And I should take values in scores. So when I is 98, add 5 to it. When I is 23. So this is what you write first is what will be in your results. What you write first is what will be in your results. So it's I plus 5 is the main entry in this list. So 98 plus 5, 23 plus 5, that's what I'm doing. This is a for loop function telling me go from, take all the values in scores and get this. Now, if I want to save, let's go back to this. If I want to save this, my result in grade, this is what I would do. Instead of me using print, I will do grade dot append fail. So append means I'm adding it to the list. Grade dot append, you did well. I can save my result in a new variable I created. Grade dot append. You can use single or double quotation mark pass. Now, when you run this, it doesn't show you any result because all your results are saved in grade. So if you want to see your results, you have to go to grade and do something like print grade. So it shows you your results, and all your results are now saved in the list I created here. So I can keep on appending or adding new things. So this is how so if you have data set and you want to classify your data set, you want to code it, you can use the for combination of all this: for function, if function, elif function, else function. You can also use this. So this is also a for loop that I did. So we also have the while loop. So while loop is you set a condition, and as far as that condition has not been satisfied, you set a condition, and as far as the condition is satisfied, the code will keep on running. But whenever the condition is violated, it will stop running. So now let me show you an example. So I'm explaining the while loop. So let's say score, I'm starting from 7. But I want to write numbers from, or let me start from 0. I want to write from 0 to 100. So as far as while score is less than 100 or less than 101, keep on giving me results. So what you do is print scores and add 1 to scores next. To scores plus 1. Let me show you what will happen. Then I will explain. So I see, okay, 100 is too much. So let me just use 10. So what I'm doing is, as far as scores is less than 10, less than 11, just keep on printing. What I did here is, after you print the first score, add 1 to it and print again. Add another 1 to it, print again. Keep on doing this as far as this condition is satisfied. Scores is less than 11. Another way to write this, if I don't want to write it as +1, I can put the plus here and delete this score. So whenever you see a function like this, just know what this means. This last line is equivalent to the last line here. It means keep on printing scores, but the next time you add 1 to it. You print score again, but you are adding 1 to it. So that's what it means. So this is the same as this. So the while loop is used to set a condition. As far as the condition is satisfied, you keep on printing. Whenever the condition is violated, you stop printing. I have a meeting in the next 10 minutes. If you want to do square in Python or raised to power anything, so if I want to do 5 raised to power 2, I do 5 raised to power 2. This is how we do raised to power 2 asterisks. If you use 1, that's just saying 5 times 2. If you want to do 5 raised to power 3 or 5 raised to power 6, so this is how we do it. Then I think that should be the last. Okay, that's not the last. I have meeting in the next 9 minutes. Okay, the next step is, what if I want to create a function? I want to create a function myself. Instead of using functions created by others, I want to create my own function that I can make use of anytime. Let's say you are a teacher in a university or a teacher in a school, and you grade exams always. Instead of you assigning, so when you grade your score, instead of you assigning A, B, C yourself, you want computer to be doing it for you. And you want the computer to, like you have many data sets to do that. You can just create a function that you can use anytime. You create a function that you can use anytime. So now let me create my own function. My function is on grades. So what I will include there is my data. Then I do my for loop for I in range the length of my data. So if for I in data, if data I is less than 60, then print fail. Else, are you seeing how I'm writing it? So you also write it this way, else print pass. So what I did now is to create a function. I use this def to tell Python I'm creating a function and my function name is grades. Now I don't need to write all this code again. Anytime I want to do this, I just have to have my data now. Data is 70 or 79. Then I do grades my data. Or I can just put 79 here. Or grade my data, yeah. No. Let me use 2. Because I'm doing a for 79, 80. So this is it. Now I just created a function that I can recall anytime, I can make use of anytime. And this function is used to classify. So we'll be making use of this instead of me writing this code anytime I want to classify my data, I can just save all these codes in a function. Now, if I want to create function for mean, I don't want to use the inbuilt function. I can do that def, and say my own mean. So this is the name of my function, my own mean. You give me, let me use X. Colon, then you click enter. What I will do is so if you want to look for mean, you have to take the sum of all the values in your data and divide by n. So first, let me get n. N will be the length of my data, which is X. So now I'm using X now to represent my data. If you want to look for mean is summation of all the values, then you divide by n. Then the next step is to take so like we need to write function for sum, then divide it by n. So I can do addition and do sum. So what am I summing? I'm summing all X. Then I can do my mean. I can just put add underscore X. I can use any name. Add underscore X divided by n. Then what I want to see is I can either use print or return. So let me use print my mean. So I'm writing the function for mean. So my own function, even though Python has an inbuilt function for that, but I want to use my own. So run. And if I have data set, let me call it C 6573. And I want to look for the mean. I just have to go back to my name. This is the name I called it, my own mean. And do C. So it gives me the mean. If I want the result to, I can do something like this. The mean is, so the mean is 53. So df is used to set or to create your own function that you can use anytime. You can recall the function at any time. Instead of you writing all these codes, whenever you need to calculate the mean of your data set, you can write the code and save it in this function name, my own mean. And whenever you want to calculate mean, you make use of it. So we're going to make use of all these in this class. So we're going to stop here for today. Then the next time we'll learn how to import data sets and use that for our machine learning class. Any question? Any question? No. Please, I can't hear you. What are you saying?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
I said, sorry to take you back. Do I need to download my Python first before launching the Jupyter?
Yes, you have to have Python. You have to have Python. Yeah, that's the first thing. So the Python is the language. Python is the language. We are just using different integrated development environments. You can use Eclipse. You can use, like we have different IDE. So we have Eclipse. So this is Eclipse. I use it for my Python. Then you can use Jupyter Notebook. But the programming language we are learning, we are not learning Jupyter Notebook. We are learning Python. That's the programming language. Any other question? So you download Python, then you download you must not use Jupyter Notebook. They have different things you can use. Even Python comes with IDLE. So this is Python's one. Let me share my screen. So Python has IDLE. Is it opening or what? This is another interpreter we can use. Don't know why it's not opening. So this is it. IDLE. It's not, well, we can, so that's it. Any other question? Okay, so that's all. So we are going to end the class. We will continue tomorrow. So what we did today is just the basics. Okay, so I will save and send the recording to the group. Okay, thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.